On Monday, October 18th, Apple held its second fall event and quite possibly its last major product launch for 2021. The event, called Unleashed, was all about music and the Mac, and while there were a good number of announcements, including a super weird voice-only voice plan for Apple Music that's just $5 a month, I'm not sure who wants that, there were some notable announcements you really should know about. Here were the three biggest announcements from Apple's big October 2021 event. Number 3, new AirPods. AirPods have become one of Apple's most popular products since the first generation wireless earbuds were unveiled in 2016. Since then, Apple has released a version of AirPods that support noise canceling called AirPods Pro, and even a pair of expensive over-ear headphones that have all the same magic that powers AirPods called AirPods Max. I personally love both headphones. They have two very different uses. Well, on Monday, Apple finally unveiled its third generation AirPods, or AirPods 3. The new AirPods have a new design, which looks much more like AirPods Pro without the silicone tips. They're powered by the same chip that also powers the AirPods Pro and AirPods Max, and these new AirPods finally, are sweat and water resistant, meaning you can safely take these babies to the gym or on a run. The new AirPods can basically do everything AirPods Pro can do, and for $70 less, including being perfect for workouts, music, or entertainment, thanks to support for Dolby Atmos and spatial audio, which gives you a real theater-like experience where the audio sounds like it's coming in from all directions. The only notable difference between the new AirPods and AirPods Pro is noise canceling, which you get on AirPods Pro but not on AirPods, which to me is a game-changing feature that makes workouts much more enjoyable. So if you plan on using AirPods to exercise with, or even if you just want to enjoy some music or a movie in isolation, I might recommend you shell out extra for the AirPods Pro model. Still, these AirPods will be excellent for most people, as the one size and color fits all wireless earbuds start at $180. You can bet they'll be a popular pick for the holidays. Number 2, the new MacBook Pro. This was the hardware moment most people have been waiting years for. In the weeks leading up to Apple's big October event, reliable leaks did give away many of the notable features, including an all-black keyboard, the elimination of the much-hated touch bar, a bigger edge-to-edge display, and a notch cutout to house the camera, like the iPhone has, even though these new MacBooks won't support Face ID. They have a Touch ID button like all other modern Macs. Still, that didn't take away from just how monumental an upgrade this computer is compared to its predecessor. There will be two models featuring 14 or 16-inch displays, but that's about where the differences end. The new MacBook Pro has a brilliant new display, which uses the same mini LED technology in the high-end iPad Pro, and it also supports ProMotion, like the iPad Pro and iPhone 13 Pro, to make the display look and feel silky smooth when scrolling, thanks to support for high refresh rates. This new computer is fast, efficient, and extremely powerful, several times more powerful than other laptops and even past MacBook Pros, and almost as good as the highest-end PCs you can buy, period. It supports a ton of storage. It starts with 512 gigabytes, but you can get up to 8 terabytes. And it has amazing battery life, up to 17 hours of video playback on the 14-inch model, and up to 21 hours on the 16-inch model, which is roughly 10 or so more hours compared to the last MacBook Pro. It's really nuts. And thankfully, this new computer has plenty of ports, including ports for USB-C and even SD cards, so you probably don't need all those dongles you bought years ago. And the best part is, Apple finally brought MagSafe back to the MacBook, so you don't need to worry about tripping over wires and bringing your whole computer down with it. Power can be safely pulled off the computer without breaking anything, and it can plug back in quickly and easily using magnets. It's a great technology that should have never left, but it's thankfully back and hopefully here to stay. The new MacBook Pros also support the latest Wi-Fi technology, Wi-Fi 6, and they also have a much improved FaceTime camera that records or streams in 1080p HD. It also has a new audio system with support for spatial audio and Dolby Atmos for that theater-esque experience. The new MacBook Pro isn't cheap. It starts at $2,000 for the 14-inch model and $2,500 for the 16-inch version, and if you max out the 16-inch design, you'll be paying over $6,000. The reason this isn't the biggest announcement of the day is because not everyone will want or even need a new MacBook Pro. This computer really is best for people who need to do photo and video editing and other compute-intensive tasks while on the go. This is an excellent machine for pros. That's why the top announcement of the day isn't about the computer, but rather the chips that power it, and likely other Apple computers down the line. Number 1, the M1 Pro and M1 Max chips. Can you believe it's only been 1 year since Apple introduced its first edition Apple silicone to the Mac lineup? Last year, Apple announced that from now on, it would be making its own computer chips for Mac computers instead of relying on Intel. And in that same breath, it announced the MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, and Mac Mini would all receive the first generation M1, an extremely powerful and power-efficient chip that, when tested, blew a lot of people's minds. The M1 wasn't just way more powerful compared to past chips, it was also really good at preserving energy and extending battery life, and it made the computers whisper quiet to use, all great things. The M1 was terrific, but most people, myself included, were excited for what this meant. If this was just the first generation chip, imagine what Apple could do with a second or third generation chip, and how that could affect the computer landscape. Right now, people look to PCs for high-end use cases, like video editing and gaming and streaming. That all could change soon. But as Apple mentioned in 2020, it's going to take time for a lot of software and programs to really take advantage of Apple's new hardware. But then we have Monday's event, where Apple unveiled its next-gen chip. A lot of rumors pointed to being called the M1X, but no, this is the M1 Pro. You can watch the Apple event to learn just how much of a leap the M1 Pro is compared to the M1, but just take my word for it. It takes computing and graphic speeds up by a significant amount. And if that's not enough, Apple also surprised us all with another, even more powerful chip called the M1 Max, which just crushes performance compared to last year's M1. This is really exciting stuff. Why? Because while the first iteration of this chip will appear in the expensive new MacBook Pros, it will eventually come to Apple's other devices. Rumors are pointing to Apple's MacBook Air getting these new and improved chips next spring. And unlike the new MacBook Pros announced this week, which come in just silver or space gray, the new MacBook Air designs are said to feature all of those same candy colors the new iMacs received this year. So when you combine the new edge-to-edge screen design with new colors and the new M1 Pro and M1 Max, you're looking at a killer laptop. But I'm also really excited to see Apple's desktop lineup take advantage of the new and improved Apple silicone. The redesigned iMac, announced earlier this year, is currently powered by an M1 chip, but I'd love to see that computer and also the Mac Pro Tower have options for an M1 Pro and M1 Max to see just how much performance could improve on those machines. I'd also love to see an iMac Pro for people who love the iMac design but are looking for a more powerful option. For some perspective here, in the not too distant past, people used to buy Apple computers for their beautiful designs and ease of use, but knowing that usually meant sacrificing raw power in some way. The Mac line has always had enough power, but it was never the most powerful option you could buy, especially in the graphics department where for many years it was pretty pitiful. The M1 series chips could change all of that, and seeing the gains between last year's M1 and this year's M1 Pro and Max should make anyone optimistic for the future of Apple's chip-making efforts, especially since that will mean Apple's hardware will only become more powerful and more power efficient, for better battery life, less noise, and more utility. More powerful chips means more complex experiences, so assuming Apple is still working on a car and augmented reality glasses, these chip improvements will really come in handy to deliver long-lasting, high-quality hardware, both big and small. So, those were the three biggest announcements from Monday's event: new AirPods, the new MacBook Pro, and Apple's new M1 Pro and M1 Max chips, which push Apple's silicone efforts even further. But now I'd love to hear from you. What are you most excited about? Are you pre-ordering any of these new devices? Let me know in the comments section. And if you like this video, please do like the video and subscribe to the channel for more in the future. Every little bit counts. Thanks so much for watching the download. Until next time.